in order for you to win this battle, this conquest of life, your journey, whatever, like, yeah, you gotta have chutzpah, right? You're ready to stand up in there.
The value is right here, right now, to create a world that's better than the one we came into, and to leave the world better off.
There's something that you need to be doing, that you need to act on, and most of us don't.
We are not moved by those who mock us.
In the micro, it's like we all have potential. We all have, we all need to be bold as a leopard. We all need to chase our dreams. We all need to live life and make the world a better place. But like 99% of us are just like this, and then the few rise to the top that are like, look at that guy.
Welcome to the In Search of More podcast. I am your host, Ellie Nash. Join me weekly on my quest for more from myself and more from this world. We'll see you on the other side. Ryan Carter, we're here again.
Yes, feels good to be back.
Okay, so the goal here in this conversation before we go in, and maybe it'll connect to the topic of conversation as well, is for this to be much more of a conversation. Sometimes we have that, especially if we get to anything race-related, you jump in.
It's low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. You're comfortable in that space, right? So we got to get you comfortable in some of the other spaces.
So why don't we go on the other end then?
What does that mean?
Let's talk about, what are we talking about today? Why don't we talk about something related to Judaism? I'm always interested to learn about new cool facts around Judaism, especially as a close friend. You've been my introduction to the faith and the religion and everything around it. So why don't we talk about something there? That's always a good place to go, I feel like.
Okay, good. I
not to put you on the spot, but
no, I got something. I always got notes. I got 11 topics that I want to think about, talk about, process, digest, put it out there so I get to listen to it and remind myself of the importance of this one.
Right.
So thank you all who listen as well.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
I'm talking to myself, but it looks like I'm not.
Right. All right.
Yeah, and what do they say? Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, very important thing to do.
Smash that like button.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my thought, right? I came across this, and it's connected to Judaism, of course, but I think its relevance is to everyone. So you're familiar with, in Hebrew, it's called the Shulchan Aruch, right? Which means set table, otherwise translated as the Code of Jewish Law, otherwise known as the Code of Jewish Law. So Judaism is an extremely, extremely legalistic tradition, religion. It's got opinions on opinions on opinions and facts and details. It's not just, one little thing. It was like I saw a comedian, I think it was Elon Gold, I think it was him, Jewish comedian. He says, if Jews were instructed to have a Christmas tree, they'd also know how tall the Christmas tree has to be, how short it can't be short, it can't be too tall, the leaves can't be too wilted, be too brown, how long you can keep it around, how many days before you got to get it, because it can cut off the ground, or which country you can get it from, like somehow right? a lot gets packed in. So in this compendium, tons and tons of books, and there's only one person who wrote it, but the one that I was taught to use as a child, and it could be many others. I haven't looked at every version of it. So essentially what was done is you have, the Bible, the Torah, translations on that, the Talmud, a lot of discussions, recorded conversations on it, and it's talking about every conceivable topic. And then someone said, okay, if you force someone just to read the Torah and the Talmud to figure out, what to do for Shabbos.
Right.
What time does Shabbos start, for example? Right. Different opinions. When is night? When is day? This is, sundown, a little after sundown, at what?
Right.
There are many different opinions on these things. So certain people went to the effort and said, okay, we're going to set this table for you. We're going to go through and break everything down in order for you to just read this and you know what to do. Okay, so very first thing it starts with, it quotes a rabbi. The rabbi's name is Yehuda ben Tema. Okay, and he says, be bold as a leopard, be swift as, bold as a leopard. Okay, that's his first one. Something about a deer, a lion, something else. But bold as a leopard. So whoever wrote this explains what does bold as a leopard mean. Is you need these four things in order to serve the will of God. Right. Basically, if you want to be able to do the rest of what it says in this book,
start here.
And what is that? Bold as a leopard is explained. What does it mean to be bold as a leopard? That we are not moved by those who mock us.
Okay.
And I just was thinking about, like, why is this the foundation of, it's like the foundation of everything? The first thing before I go into this whole book,
Right.
you got to be bold as a leopard. Like, do not be intimidated by those who make fun of you.
Yeah, unpack that for me. What do you think about that? How do you interpret that?
I wonder if so much, like the way I'm wondering, right, is I wonder if so much what ails us in society is not being able to be bold as a leopard. Way beyond Jewish law, because what is Jewish law anyway? It's living your life, right? It's like, in order to live this life that someone wants to live and say, okay, I want to follow this. It's like, okay, I'm going to tell you all the laws, but before I do, you got to be bold as a leopard. Can you walk down the street and be comfortable with people making fun of you, people mocking you, people ridiculing you?
And that's interesting, because when I think of the word, or when I hear the phrase "bold as a leopard," what comes to mind first is bravery, right? More than, I guess, resilience, which is interesting, right? Because when I hear bold as a leopard, I think like, go out there, be brave, be bold. But this is interpreted on the other side of that trait, right?
What's the other side of that trait? What do you mean?
Saying like, you got to be able to not get distracted or discouraged when people mock you, laugh at you, don't believe you, whatever the case is. So that's interesting.
When you said bold as a leopard, right? You said bravery, not resilience?
No, resilience is the other side of it.
Right. Is this resilience to not be, I think it's brave, right? Can you walk down the street? Should I tell you what can you walk down the street with a Trump hat? Like something like that, right? If that's your belief, I'll tell you why I bring that up, is that seems to be the first line of attack against people that most people fall for. That's my thought. Right? They've, when they were trying to analyze the Trump presidency, it's like, where did this come from? How did we miss it?
Right.
And one of the things that was missed was how many people weren't comfortable telling you what they really felt and thought. So when they were polled and said, who are you going to vote for? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Probably the other guy. And then, in fact, there were a number of
70
people.
million people.
Many, many millions of people. But still, even with having that many people, there were many who were made to feel ridiculed and mocked for that position. And as a result, they didn't quite express it as proudly. That's kind of an obvious example, because it just feels like so many people, like I said, it's like, it feels like the first line of attack against someone is, let me make fun of them. And if I make fun of them as successful, I can get them to do what I want to do, or they'll kind of push what they're doing down a little bit more into hiding. Even if they're doing it, it's not quite as bold.
Right. Yeah, usually when people, that is true. Like mocking, ridicule, that's usually like the first attack of anyone that's on any sort of path. Oftentimes, that's what you have to deal with. That's like the first discomfort or challenge you have to deal with when you're in your journey. So thinking,
Can you give an example of that in your journey?
So like, being able to build a successful branding and marketing company with no training, theoretical training. So some people are like, it's not going to work. You don't have a degree in art direction.
And when they're saying it's not going to work, did that feel like mockery to you?
Did it feel like mockery? It felt like not so much mockery, but laughing at my audacity, kind of, because I was sure, like, this is what I'm doing. Like, it got to a point where I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And some of the responses felt like, no, like, are you crazy? No, it's never going to work.
So you felt like in order to make that move, which you knew was the right thing, meaning that wasn't where you were stuck.
Right.
You weren't confused about the direction you needed to take.
Right.
But in order to make that move, you had to be comfortable with being able to absorb or deflect, whichever word is preferred for you, the the criticism, the naysayers.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Because everything pointed to them being right and me being wrong, right? But that's what disruption is in a lot of ways. And disruption can be, the rose that grew from concrete, right? I'm trying to tie it into like biblical terms, like the small guy, like David and Goliath,
Right.
right? It's like, in order for you to win this battle, this conquest of life, your journey, whatever, like, yeah, you gotta have chutzpah, right? You're ready to stand up in there. And I think that's a true line to everybody's life or story. They're always gonna be naysayers. So it is kind of fitting that
it would
that's
start
kind of
with
where
this.
you start there. Yeah, when you really think about it, and just life as a unfolding.
So how is
journey.
that trained, right? Meaning if so many are, like, if this is necessary for people to live the life that they want to live, so how do we train that? And I'll add to that question because, when I was a teenager in yeshiva and the Jewish school system, and surrounded by all of this, were some things that just, like, this is not going to work. This is just a little crazy. Some of what we're trying to do. And one of the things I remember telling a teacher is, you seem to want to use peer pressure in this environment to get us to do what you want us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as we step out of here, you want us to be immune to peer pressure.
Mm.
Right? Because, I mean, to be an Orthodox Jew in an environment, right, in the world at large, you're going to have to be able to withstand a certain amount of peer pressure.
Right.
But here, let me pile it on. Like, let me pile on kind of a conformity. Like, how come you're not conforming? I was like, maybe teach the opposite. I remember saying that as a teenager, but I guess that adds to the question: how could that be taught? If you want to teach it to your kids, if I want to teach it to my kids, like,
Were you a rebellious teenager, like in regards to like your Orthodox belief in training and education and stuff?
I was kind of rebellious, and I don't know if rebellious is
even if questioning, like
in both ways. In both ways, meaning I wasn't totally in line with what the school was telling me, but then most of the kids who were doing that, who weren't in line, were thrown into a group, but I was rebellious of their perspective as well. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I was marching kind of to my own beat in some way. I still feel that way.
Is the goal, like, I'm thinking of as my own faith, right? Like, so overarching goal is to live your life a certain way that would meet the approval of God, so ultimately you'll make it into the afterlife. For Christianity, is it the same with Judaism? Like, what's the goal for the millions of Jews around the world that practice and are Orthodox and follow the faith? What's like the end goal? Like, why are they following the Judaic way? Is it to...
It's not, my understanding is not about the afterlife. The value is right here. Like, right here, right now, to create a world that's better than the one we came into, and to leave the world better off. The afterlife is kind of like a bonus, a cherry on top. It's not the main instruction.
That's interesting.
Yeah, do it down here so that when you get there, you'll have something. That's not the way I felt it. Maybe someone else will disagree with me. It felt much more like, no, we're here, down here in this world, and do the right thing so that the world is a better place now and in the future.
And why do you think, and this all kind of ties into being as bold as a leopard, like when I was listening to you talk just now, like I couldn't help but think about the 99% of us kind of like live life like this. And then there's the 1% of us that go after our dreams, or like, why is that? If all of us have these, like, when you in the micro, it's like we all have potential. We all have, we all need to be bold as a leopard. We all need to chase our dreams. We all need to live life and make the world a better place. But like 99% of us are just like this. And then the few rise to the top that are like, look at that guy, right? Like, and even, even going back to the Bible, right? Like, there are standout figures, right? But everyone is Moses in a way, meaning God chose him or whatever. But everyone is Moses. Everyone was chosen. Is David. Right.
This whole idea that there's a chosen people. I mean, everyone.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, everyone is chosen, of course. Otherwise, everyone hand selected, hand picked. I don't think Judaism believes that
Right.
Like the Jews are chosen and no one else is chosen. Maybe Judaism believes the Jews are chosen in a specific way as a people for something, but to suggest that, what do you say about someone else who's not Jewish? Oh, he's random? I mean, there's
Right.
nothing random in God's world, according
Right.
to Judaism. So
Right.
they're chosen too, right? Everyone is chosen, which means everyone is a Moses, right? Everyone has that potential to do something huge,
Right.
whatever that means.
That's the title for this episode, by the way. Everyone is Moses.
Everyone is.
No, but and even outside of Judaism, just as a society, right? Like, what is that? Why isn't everyone is being told to be bold as a leopard, no matter what? Like, I'm pretty sure. Like,
You feel
I'm
like everyone is told that? In theory, right? You can see every parent telling their kids is you can do anything you want to do.
In theory, yeah.
Anything you want to do, you can do.
Right.
And in that moment, right, when I told my parents, I'm moving down to Florida, because from when I was 13, I wasn't really living at home. I was going to different boarding schools. Canada, Mexico, Miami, England, right? Just a bunch of different schools. And then after all of that, I was 20 years old. I came back home for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, there's no way I'm living in Brooklyn. Like, this is not,
I'm out.
this is not happening. So I tell my parents, hey, after the holidays, right? It was a period of holidays, Jewish New Year, Yom Kippur, etc. After that, I'm moving to Miami. I was selling stuff online at that point, but weren't really making much money. But, we're doing something. And, my mom, the same person who said I can do anything I want to do, right? In that moment, of course, is going to have some fear.
Right.
What are you going
Her
to
baby's
Miami?
leaving the
How
nest.
are you going to support yourself?
Right.
Right. I mean, that was the first question. I said, I don't know, but I'm not figuring that out from here. Right. So in that moment, and obviously my mom completely supportive of us, probably much more than most, right? As I've made the decisions, always been completely supportive. But in that moment, there is that fear that kicks in and says, hey, it's a little safer this way. I guess that's it. I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's just safer. So that's why 99% end up in that direction.
Yeah, because I think about that often, because it's like, in theory, we all get the same message. But practically speaking, it's very, very few of us adhere to that message or follow it or listen to that inner voice that's there.
So you want to know why?
Why do you think?
I think we're geared towards safety. That's what it is. And that's be bold as a leopard. And that suggestion, if you're being bold, a bold move is unsafe. On the other hand, the biggest risk is taking no risks.
Right.
So that's unsafe too, but that's in the aggregate.
Right.
Every single micro decision, it's a little bit safer to stay inside the house and walk outside. Staying in the house for too long, for too many times, that's riskier than ever going out. But every single decision, it's a little safer. Just stay home. Right. You're safer here. I think that's what it is. I think that, maybe that's it. Like, evil is just geared towards safety. It's not even evil. It's just geared towards safety.
Are you as bold as a leopard today?
Could be bolder for sure. Definitely could be bolder. But I'm more bold than I was.
And how does that feel?
How does it feel to
you knew what when you weren't as bold as you are today, right? Like, so how does it feel to be living in sort of that space where you're more bold?
Right. I think the way I process it is more about I'm not bold as I could be versus more bold than I was.
So you're still playing it kind of safe, but not as safe in some ways, would you say?
For sure. Yeah. I think all of us, but even this, the process with this has been, taking certain moves kind of slowly, but it takes a certain amount of boldness to say, hey, I got something to say, and I've been thinking about, this in our conversation is connected to that, is maybe sometimes when we have conversations and I listen to it and I was like, okay, that was two people having a conversation. Other times it's like, Ellie, that episode was just you talking, like that move was just you sitting in front of a camera and just communicating a point. But there's another level of boldness to that kind of communication. And this just feels a little bit safer.
Well,
It depends. Not in this one. Not in this
Yeah.
one specifically.
No, I get what
but
you're
it's,
saying.
Some of them definitely felt like that. It's like, hey, you were using Ryan as a crutch in that one. That wasn't about a two-way conversation.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to get your stuff out, you know, and yeah, it definitely takes some boldness to recognize that and stand in that space. You know, I think about my own stuff, like even my reluctancy to get on the microphone sometimes in front of the cameras, but recognizing the value and how important it is to do it also, and sometimes juggling with that, right? And it's thinking back again to what we're talking about. It's like innately, I think we all get that message, and
Of what?
of like knowing that you should be doing more.
Right.
There's something that you need to be doing, that you need to act on, and most of us don't.
Well, you said before that 99% don't.
Yeah,
And even the ones who do, we don't do it as bold as we
don't.
could.
Yeah.
Could sometimes. And maybe there are those few. Could it be that the single main ingredient to becoming that person is not the talent, but the boldness? That's my question, right? That's the premise of this is, yes, I get it's important. I get it's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want someone to be bold. But is this the foundation? Is this really the very first thing I'm going to instruct someone on a way of life? Like, okay, you want to live this way of life, the Torah way of life, you want to live this?
Mm-hmm.
And presumably this would be true for any way of life that someone wanted to live. If you want to live this way of life, step number 1, be bold as a leopard. Don't be intimidated by people who make fun of you. Is it that, like, does it feel that central? Is it true? Or maybe I'm missing something as to why it's the first one.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what people say in the comments. For me, it could be. And just that perspective you just gave on it, it's not the talent, it's not the ability, it's just the belief, the conviction. And then everything else kind of falls into place. Like I was having a conversation with my son the other day about Kobe Bryant, because he wants to play. My son's like really into soccer. It's a little disappointing because I want him to play basketball. Well, we'll get him there. And
maybe he won't. Maybe the bold move for him is play soccer.
No, he's gonna. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's do whatever he wants to do. But we're talking about it, and Kobe came up. So like I was giving like a little overview about Kobe and how like basically the premise of the conversation was because he loves the play factor of soccer. I'm like, if you want to be Messi, who's his favorite player, I'm like, you got to put in a lot of work. And then that kind of segued into Kobe. And the preface of it was Kobe was exceptionally talented, but he outworked everybody. And that's what made him different. That's what the Mamba mentality was. Like the talent is there, right? So it's sort of like, you know, it's almost not about the talent. It's like, are you going to show up 6 a.m., you know, every morning in the gym? Are you going to play through injuries? Are you going to be bold enough to say like, this is my mission. This is what I have to do. This is, you know, like you said, living that Torah life. And it's like, it doesn't even matter how far my hands reach. It's just standing up and like that conviction. So just from that to my 8-year-old son conversation, it feels like a through line is there. And it could be central. It could be to this whole thing.
Right. With Kobe, it sounds like if he was being mocked, what would he be mocked for?
I mean,
his intensity, no?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, chill, brother.
Yeah, he's a villain. He was, you know.
For what? He was so serious.
Yeah. He's so
chill.
Serious. Like, yeah, like, yeah, right. Like,
chill, all right. It's like we're having fun. Chill.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Okay. Maybe that message is for me. But because I'm sometimes telling that to people, hey, chill. Not so serious, chill. I don't know. Right. Am I being the one making fun of someone's boldness? Maybe. Sometimes.
Everyone's Moses. Everyone's Moses.
Right. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we make fun of people when we see them being bold. Like, where does that instinct come from? Is because if too many of them do it, then we got to do it too. And that's scary. Like, hey, chill.
Right. I don't want to.
Right.
You're going to blow up my spot here. Right.
Okay.
Right.
I got to be bold too.
Right. It's a bold party.
So in conclusion, this feels to you as this central, almost. If I'm teaching my kids, I want to get them set up for the world. Mm-hmm. Foundation number 1, be bold as a leopard. Don't be intimidated by those who make fun of you.
Yeah, it definitely can live there. It definitely can be central.
That's central. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of feels that way to me.
Yeah, that's what like I'm going off what like the feeling and just connecting the dots. It definitely feels like it's a central belief that you have to have.
Okay, we'll feel that out. We'll put it out there. Maybe get some comments back and see what others say.
There it is.
I appreciate you showing up
Every day.